Hello students, hope you all are doing well, and now today we are going to start with the next topic of our chapter, which is modification of plants. This is the fifth chapter of our NCERT book. So already we had in our previous class finished about the stem roots and its modification. Now we have to study about the modification of stems now. So let us first try to understand that what is a stem and then about its importance, and then further we'll move about its modifications. So now you know that if this is a seed, a diploid seed I'm making here like a pea, this is the pea seed, gram you can also say. So if this one is having a developed plumule over here and this part is radical, so you know that this radical is going to be future root, right? And this part is going to be future shoot. So the part which is this plumule, which is going to get further developed into the shoot, that is going to be our stem now. That is going to be the part of our plant, part of our tree, which will further develop and have a lot of parts in it. So let us see all those parts now. A stem is actually ascending part of the earth. So from the soil, from the earth, it is the ascending part which bears leaves. This bears flowers, it bears buds, this bears fruits, right? So all these things are typical stem bears. It is having a node and this junction as the internode, right? So a stem carries flowers, it carries leaves, it carries buds, it carries fruits. So these four things it carries. Next, a stem is divided into two parts. So these are the divided two parts. One is internode and second is the node section. Node is that part from where leaves develop, right? Or the another stem, it starts getting developed from the node. Internode is the area between two nodes. So this is the place between two different nodes is called as the internode, right? So this is about the stem which you see. Now let us see that what are the features of stem. So features of stem. What do you think? What is the work of stem? What stem does? Can you tell me? Okay. So a typical stem, it is for storing food, right? A typical stem also helps for the respiration. It also helps in the vegetative propagation. For example, in the potato. This also helps in the support. For example, the plants who are having weak body, they get support from them. For example, tendril. Tendril is a modified stem which you see on the cucumber plant, right? So, or on the pumpkin plant, not cucumber, pumpkin plant you see it. So These are some of the features of the stem for storing food, for respiration, for propagation, for support. They all are made, right? So this is the feature of stem. Now let us see further that what are the different modifications of a typical stem. It is divided into three parts. One is underground, second one is subaerial, and the third one is aerial. So these are the three different segregations or three different characteristics or features which have been modified into some different form to give support or to help the plant to survive in a habitat wherever they are. So let us see all these three modifications of the stem one by one, that what actually they are saying and what are the different types, what are the different features and characteristics of all of them. So we'll start first with the underground stems. So first let me do this. Okay, so with the help of name only, it must be clear to you that I'm talking about the underground stem. That means the stem which is under the soil, right? So underground stem, that means which is under the soil. So these are specially manufactured or especially meant or modified for storing food. So these are specialized for storing food in the plant body, and also they help for the propagation, which is vegetative propagation, right? So the underground stems are modified for storing food and vegetative propagation kind of. This is further divided into four different parts. One is called rhizome. So one of its feature is the rhizome. Then we are having tuber. Third type is of corn. Tuber and corn, you might have seen several places, you might be aware of it, that what they are actually. Fourth type is of bulb. Okay, so these are the four different modifications of the underground stem, right? Now let us see them one by one with the example that what they are actually and what they do. So the rhizome is there. For example, rhizomes are like, the example of it is ginger or turmeric. What you see in them actually, these, for example, this is a ginger. On this ginger you will find another bud kind of a structure, another part or another organ of it develops, and on each developed part it is having a separate node, and these nodes are specialized to develop to the stem, right? So from each part of it another stem can be developed, and this lies under the soil. So that is why it is the underground one, and this is the rhizome, because these are the rhizomes which are developing and helping it to grow further, and it also helps in the vegetative propagation. And this fruit part which you eat, that is ginger, it is there for storing food inside the soil. So this is one of the example of your rhizome. Now let us see the second one, which is your tuber. Tuber is like swollen part. This is somewhat swollen. For example, potato. So you might have seen tuber formed structure potatoes like this, this. So they are also specialized, they are also meant to store the food, and they have some bud kind of structures on their surface of the body which further develops the shoot, right, which further develops the leaf. Why? Because these are the nodes having in them, and that's why they nodes, that means meristematic cells, and that means that it will be able to develop a new plant. So that is why for tuber there is the potato, and they are the storing capacity having in their body, as that is one of the example of your underground stem. Then we are having corn. Corn, for example, saffron. They are also specialized, saffron which you eat kesar. So they are also specialized for storing food and helping for the propagation purpose. They are also one of the underground stem having. So they are underground stem that helps the corns to develop further. Then we are having the fourth one, which is the bulb one. So bulb, for example, these bulbs are actually highly condensed. For example, like this corn is there, this is also a condensed stem. But these bulbs, they are actually highly condensed. For example, can you tell me? Guess? Okay, I'll tell you. For example, onion. For example, garlic. Garlic, each clove you can see it is quite swollen one, and they are, it seems like something which has got condensed over there, right? Same way is with the onions also. So what do you see in onion? You see somewhat like this, and they develop the leaves from there, right? So this part is there which helps in developing the shoot, which helps in developing the other part of the plant. So this is also a modified stem example. So these four are the examples of underground stem which is meant for storing food and vegetative propagation. Now we have to see about the subaerial one. So the stems which have got modification as the sub-stem, they are actually very weak. So because they are weak, so let me write here subaerial, okay, and they are weak part having, they are meant for vegetative propagation. Okay, so these are specialized for the vegetative propagation, and further they are also divided into four different parts. Right? So these sub-areas which are somewhat hanging, they are again divided into four different parts. So we'll see one by one to all of them. This is runner. These are the suckers. Sorry, my pen is actually not working. Okay, so we are having runners, we are having suckers, we are having stolen, we are having offset. So we'll see all of them one by one. So let us try to understand them with the help of example. So okay, So I had mentioned some of the examples over here. Now let us see them one by one. Runners are like grass. For example, runners are those who run horizontally upward direction, or sorry, vertically upward direction from the soil. For example, grass. So they keep on developing from their roots, from their stems. You might have seen the grass like this, right? So they are having here their nodes present over there. Some of the grass, you will see that they are having some flowers also in them, right? So these grasses, they run just upward direction from the soil and they develop continuously. Same way suckers are there. Suckers, for example, mean they run just parallel to the ground. This is the ground and this is they. They just run parallel to the ground and keep on developing. So for example, mint is there. Mint, you will always see their leaves running down like this, and their stems is here, leaf is here, then further develops over here. And if this one is there, this will also develop into the new plant. So this kind of a structure is seen in the mint. Same way stolon is there. They are also running parallel to the ground and they also develop to give the vegetative propagation to the plant. Next we are having offset. Offset kind of plants are very short, very small. They are having swollen. They have proper air space, proper air cavities, so that they will not sink in this water. And it's one of the example is like water hyacinth. You might have seen water hyacinth, which you call as a jalkumbi also, right? So water hyacinths, you will see their leaves are somewhat like this, their body is somewhat like this, swollen one, which have air space in it. So these are the 4 different examples of the subaerial part, which is weak and meant for the vegetative propagation, like runners of grass, suckers of mint, stolon of dragon fruit, offset of water hyacinth. So this is just dragon fruit. You can say apple dragon is somewhat different thing. So just dragon, or you can also say the taro is there. This is also one of the fruit which is responsible for the vegetative propagation and is an example of stolon. Then we are having offset water hyacinth. Next, after this we are having aerial kind of stem present. So let us see that also. So we are having aerial, no subaerial. Okay, so the aerials are also very weak. They also go for the vegetative propagation. Some of the example, let us see with this. One of its example is like tendril. Tendril are the modified structures in the plants. For example, you will see somewhat coiling. You might have seen in the grapes. You might have seen in the pumpkin. For example, if this is a stick, so it will receive a stimulus that an object is there, so it will go towards the tropism, thigmotropism, which you have studied. So it will get the thigmotropism of this object and it will go towards it. So what will happen, this is the leaf of it and these tendrils are there. It will coil over here and will get support because these plants are actually very weak. So it gets support from the tendrils. So for example, you can write grapes, you can write pumpkin. So this is about the tendril, which is one of the weak part of the plant and it needs a support for its survival in its habitat. Now next we are having thorn. Thorn, for example, you might have seen in the lemon. You might have seen this in the rose also. So they are actually to support the plant because their stems are weak. So because of this woody thorns, it gets some support and some survival. It is also there to help the plant to get affected from the animals too. But these thorns are actually for the support of the plant so that they can stand in a proper way or they can survive in a much better way. So thorns are one of the example of the aerial plants. For example, lemon is there. Next we are having phylloclade. Phylloclade is another example where you will see that some stems are there, they lose their leaves. They don't have their leaf structure present in them, and actually they develop their stem into something which is fleshy. For example, opuntia, that you say cactus, somewhat like this structured cactus you might have seen, right? So this is actually a modified stem which gets developed to survive in a much better way and to reduce the loss of water. It stores the water in itself so that it can survive better way when there is scarcity or a very less amount of water is present, for example in the desert areas, right? Then we are having cladode. This is another kind of the aerial modification of the stem where, for example, you can see the asparagus. So asparagus is one of the example of cladode where you find that the plants which are there, they are having 1 to 2 internodes present in them, and because of that what you will see, they are somewhat like this, they get developed. You will find that these are also supporting the plant to survive because they are again very weak in nature. So cladode is one of the modification of the plant, for example asparagus. So these are the 3 modifications of stem which we have seen today, and you know that the stems are there which show always phototrophic movement, and they are the positive phototropism movement showing and negative to the geotrophical movement, right? So these are